Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title, today is going to be another heavy topic, and I'm really sorry I gave you two super heavy topics in a row, but today I'm going to be telling you all about my abusive romantic relationship. This video is going to be a little bit of an overview. I don't plan on going into too many details, so it shouldn't be too triggering. However, if you have also been in an emotionally abusive romantic relationship, it may trigger you. So just use caution when watching this video, and if it becomes too much, feel free to pause it, walk away, do whatever you need to do. If you're new to my channel, my name is Devin and I make videos all about mental health and chronic illness. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. Please make sure that you click the subscribe button if you haven't already, or ring the notification bell and smash that like button for me, please. So I dated this man. Well, he wasn't really a man. He was a boy when we started dating. We were both 18. I dated this guy for almost 5 years of my life. We started dating at senior week, which for us is essentially you go to the beach for a week after you graduate high school. All the seniors go down, and really you're just supposed to party. So we were down for beach week, and I had known him for a very long time. Very long time. We had known each other since middle school. We weren't really like close friends or anything like that, but we knew who each other were. And we ended up at the same party, and he literally looked at me and was like, "Yo, Devin, shots!" And I got real excited because it was senior week, and that was literally the whole point of the week. Now, I am not suggesting underage drinking. It was bad, and I mean, obviously this whole scenario ended up bad, but it's what we did. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We literally went down to the beach so everybody could get drunk away from their parents for the first time, really. We hung out that night at that party. We actually ended up kissing that night. And then the next night we hung out all night. We sat out on the beach until the sun rose. And really from there, we were together. So from here on out, we're just going to call this man that I dated Todd. That's not his real name. If you know me in real life, you probably know who I'm talking about. But we're just gonna go with Todd, because for some reason that's the first name that came to my mind, and that's the one that's gonna stick. So me and Todd started dating after senior week, and we were together, like I said, for almost the next 5 years. Things were really good at first. He was my first everything, really. He was my first serious relationship, the first man I fell in love with, the first person I did adult things with. So he was this person in my mind. He was this first love, this great, passionate love, because there was a lot of passion in that relationship. At the start of our relationship, we both still lived at home. We were 18. I had a car, he didn't. It was really just a teenage love relationship. But it grew into something more serious because we were at that age. And we ended up living together for almost 2 years before I moved out. Now, my parents split up when I was really young, and I never really had a good, healthy, example of a relationship, of a romantic relationship. And I didn't date much in high school. I dated a few people, but it was never serious or anything like that. I was never in love. I obviously never did adult things with any of them. It was very much like those high school puppy love relationships. And they never lasted more than a few months. In high school, I actually didn't want to really date. I was scared to date because I was always scared that somebody was gonna leave me. And then of course, right after I graduate high school, I meet this guy and fall head over heels in love with him. End up not going away to school, which was the best decision, and it was not solely for him. I can't say that he wasn't part of my decision making to not go away to school, but it was definitely the right decision for me, so it's not something that I regret. But I stayed home and we ended up getting together, and I really just wanted him to be the one. My brother met his wife when they were teenagers, about the same time that me and Todd started dating. So I looked at them, and they were the first real healthy relationship that I saw. And they fought at the beginning because they were teenagers, but as they got older, things got better. So in my mind, I was almost idealizing their relationship and wanting that for me. Wanting that for me and Todd, wanting that to come together. We may have had a lot of issues, but in my mind, we could get through it because he was my one love, the one person I wanted to be with. And there was nothing that could change my mind at that time. I honestly can't tell you when the abuse started. I know that at first it wasn't there. He was not being emotionally manipulative, or at least I didn't catch on. But at first, I don't believe it was there. But as we got older and as he got more confident in himself, he started acting out. I honestly can't tell you how many times he cheated on me in the almost 5 years we were together. Now, I will say we did break up a few times because he loved to mess with my emotions. He broke up with me one time 3 days after Christmas and then started dating some other chick immediately afterwards. So that was a good time. I wonder if, he possibly was seeing her beforehand too? Probably. There were even rumors that she was having his baby after we got back together. So, fun. He was found on Tinder multiple times and he made excuses and I believed them because I wanted him to be the one for me. He worked at a bar as a bouncer and would be out until 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. Didn't really think much of it. Or if I did, I just didn't care. There was points where I knew he was cheating on me. I knew what he was doing, and I literally told myself that he can do whatever he wants as long as he comes home to me. And that's kind of how warped my brain was, because at the same time, he was also super into gaslighting. And gaslighting really makes you question your view of reality. He would lie to me about things that I clearly saw him do or clearly heard him say. He'd be, I never did that. I never said that. You're crazy. How can you even think that I would do that to you? And I think a lot of that lying, really sketchy behavior started because he was cheating on me and wanted to hide it. And then it became he needed money to help his mom out. So I would give him $200-300 in cash. And later on, I would find out that she never got the money. But then he would tell me that she was the one lying. So it was a lot of lying and gaslighting, and literally what I would see with my own two eyes, he could convince me otherwise. He would talk to me in ways that made me believe that nobody else would ever put up with me and all the mental illness and all the trauma that I went through as a child and growing up. So he was doing me a favor by being with me almost. But he wasn't doing me a favor because at the same time, he was still sleeping with all of these girls that he was working with or that were coming into the bar. And it's just, he was lying all the time. And it was lying and cheating and gaslighting and financial manipulation, because he would come to me saying that his mom needed money for their dogs or that he needed money for a cell phone bill or yada, yada, yada. So I would just hand it over because I wanted to help. And I have always been taught to be a very generous kind of person. If somebody that I love needs help, I'm gonna do it. So he would come to me saying he needed help and I would hand it over, and it went, I don't know. It didn't go towards what it was supposed to. The last year or so that we lived together, I paid all of the bills. And when I mentioned that to him when I was moving out, he literally looked at me and said, I never asked you to. You may not have ever asked me to, but if I didn't do it, you would have lost your house. We were living together. I was working 2 jobs and going to school, taking 5 classes. I worked myself into the hospital, and he never even came to see me when I was in there. I worked myself sick trying to provide for him, and he didn't even have the decency to come to the hospital to show up and say hi. It was a really, really long few years. There were so many times where I told myself I had to leave. Like I told before, I knew he was cheating on me. I told myself that he was cheating on me and it was okay. I went from that kind of state of mind to he's abusing me. I know he's abusing me. He's cheating on me. He's emotionally abusive and manipulative. He lies to me all the time. He's financially manipulative. And there's the intimidation factor, because he never actually put his hands on me, but he loved to throw things and punch walls. And if you looked, the look in his eyes when he would get angry literally looked like he could snap your neck and he wouldn't care. And it was terrifying. So when he would get angry, I would shut down immediately. And anytime I tried to go to him about something that was wrong, something that he did that hurt my feelings, I would end up apologizing essentially for having feelings in the first place, because he could never be wrong. So it was hard. And there was a lot of people in my life that were like, dude, leave. But most people didn't know how bad it was. I lied to everybody around me because I didn't want them to hate him. I ended up moving out of the house that we lived in together and back into my mom's house in February of 2017. Now, I said earlier that we were on and off a lot, and I believe it was like November, December area of the year before, of 2016, that we had broken up one time in a fight. And after that fight, we had decided that we weren't going to be together, but we were going to work on things. We were going to live together, and we were going to try to work on our relationship to get back and like build it back up to where it was. But in those 3 months, he would not have one conversation with me about our relationship. And I'd bring it up and it would be, oh, this hurts, or I don't feel good, or I have to work. There was always an excuse, and he could never actually sit here and talk to me. But every time we fought during that time, he would flat out tell me, I'm technically single, I can do whatever I want, and I don't even know why you're mad at me. So I got to the point where I was single and I could do what I want, and he can't get mad at me because he's throwing this in my face. And in February 2017, I went out on a first date. And it was really good. The guy was so sweet, and spoiler alert, we ended up getting married. But I went out on a date with this guy, and he was just so good to me. And my mind was just blown of, oh my God, somebody can actually be nice? What? By the time I had went on this first date, I was sleeping at my mom's house a lot. I had recently-ish gotten out of the hospital and was staying with her because he clearly wasn't gonna take care of me. So I was staying with my mom instead of in the house with Todd that we had. So after that first date, I was dropped off at my mom's house, and I don't know, I didn't want that feeling to end, that I felt heard, I felt seen, I felt understood for the first time by this guy that I barely even knew. And I will say that Jake did know the entire situation before we even went out on that first date. So it wasn't like he was coming into a situation that he didn't know what was going on. He knew that I had this complicated relationship, that I was living with somebody, but we weren't actually together, and it was actually a very abusive, terrible relationship. So he knew all of this, and thank God he was there with me afterwards, because he helped me get through a lot of that stuff. But after that first date, I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back to the trash that I was being treated like. Like, I could not do it. So that first date was on a Sunday night, and that next Saturday, I moved out. It didn't go well, I can tell you that much. When I told him I was moving out, he threatened to kill himself. And then I had to call the cops, and it was a whole big ordeal. I don't know, it was a lot. And it was just like the last step of manipulation that he could do. The last thing to just try to hold on to me, because I was essentially financing his entire life. He didn't love me, he needed me. I took care of him, I wasn't his girlfriend. And there was just so much, like I said before, lying, cheating, emotional abuse, financial manipulation, all of it. I was done. And when I finally tried to leave and get out of this terrible situation, he threatened what he threatened and terrified me, because I was at school and wasn't at home and couldn't do anything to save him. I had to call the cops, and it was awful and even more traumatic than I could have ever expected. But I have amazing friends. I told him on a Thursday I was moving out. That Saturday, my best friend and her now husband came. Actually, they may have been married at the time. They were probably already married. They've been married forever. Anyway, her and her husband came to the house I was sharing with Todd, and literally, I think maybe 2 trips, we had everything out. And I didn't take everything. A lot of the stuff was his. I literally just took what was mine and got out. At that point, we were literally sleeping in different bedrooms anyways. So he locked himself in what was supposed to be our bedroom, and I got all of my stuff out of what became my bedroom. And I didn't speak to him until I left, because we had to fight over what I was taking. I was literally about to say that after that situation, everything was okay. And I will say that the conversation that we had when I moved out, when I got the rest of my stuff, it started off real bad, because it started off with us fighting about things. But at the end, we hugged each other and we just walked away. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'll be okay. Now, I am a very empathetic person and felt bad just leaving him on his own, especially when he had just threatened to down a bottle of pills because I told him I was leaving. So I told him that he could still talk to me if he needed to, because he didn't have any other emotional outlets. I was the only person that he ever talked about emotions with. So I felt bad taking that away from him. So I told him he could still talk to me. That was a bad idea. If you are leaving an abusive partner, you really need to cut the cord. He called me a few times. I remember one time he called and blew up on me because I had somebody come and pick up the junk car that I gave him that he had not spent any money on or put any work into. I literally gave him a car and he let it sit there and become junk. So we junked it and sent it to the junkyard, and he called me flipping out, telling me that I was taking away his livelihood, I was taking away everything from him, he was going to be homeless and it was going to be all my fault. He hadn't even been driving a car. Like, he had not driven that car in probably 6 months to a year. Like, it was literally just sitting in our driveway. It didn't have any, like, it didn't have any license plates on it. You can't go anywhere. There's so much wrong with the car mechanically anyways. The reason I gave you the car was because you said you were going to work on it and fix it up, and you let it just sit there. No. Also, the car never got put into your name. It was still in my mom's name because I got it from her. Complicated situation, but either way, my car, I can junk it if I want to, and also I've been paying the bills at this damn house for the past year anyways, so screw you. He didn't let go very easily. He tried to hold on, and then I think it got to a point where he realized that I was gone. He was talking to me and he was really depressed, and I think this is the last time we've spoken. I haven't really seen him since. I don't remember the exact conversation, but I do remember him just kind of talking to me because he was really depressed, and then realizing that, like, I wasn't there for him like I used to be, that I wasn't as emotionally invested anymore, that I was doing it as like a service to help him, but not as like, I care about you, I love you, I want to be with you. It was none of that. And I think he realized that I wasn't coming back. So after that conversation, we have not spoken again, which is really weird because we lived in the same community, but he didn't have a car, so. He did kick me out of the bar that he worked at once. Well, he had his friends kick me out of the bar that he worked at, simply because I was his ex. So that was fun. But that was literally the only time that I have seen him since we broke up, and I have not spoken to him since either. So yeah, that was my abusive relationship. That was really my only relationship experience before I met Jake. Now, I did date a few guys in the time that me and Todd had broken up, but it was never anything serious. I literally went from this emotionally abusive relationship to being with one of the best men that I have ever met. But it took a lot of time. It took a lot of talking. It took a lot of communication and a lot of therapy. So I am not saying that people should jump right out of a relationship into another one. You should not do that. And if you're leaving an abusive relationship, I highly suggest that you go to therapy and you work on yourself. This is just, I was lucky in the way it turned out. But I also know that I put him through a lot in that time, that if I had taken time to myself, that I probably wouldn't have put him through as much emotional turmoil as I have as well. But I will say that he's my saving grace, and I honestly don't know where I would be without him, because he came into my life at the exact right time. The universe did it. The universe did it for me. He came into my life at the exact right time and showed me that not all guys are going to cheat on you and lie to you and steal all your money. Thank you guys so much for watching. I promise that the next few videos are going to be a little on the lighter note, but I also think that it's really important for me to kind of share my background and share my experiences, share where I'm coming from, so that way you guys know where my brain is and the things that I've gone through. So this is the time where I tell you again to click the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, smash that like button for me, and any questions or comments, leave them down in the comments below. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.